Welcome to season 3 in episode 3 of Hopecast.
No contact, no impact. I started out in a country church up in Macfield. I had a big vision, little provision, and a whole heap of frustration. And I believe strongly that all the resources that we need
It's in the village.
It's right in the village. Let your light so shine
Before men.
That they may see your good works. So and give me the fear of
not producing.
I've heard some people talk about depression. Always remember where my source is. And many of us, we get caught up in the doing that we're terrible on the being.
Welcome to season 3 in episode 3 of Hopecast. This season, our focus is on the journey. Remember, the race is not for the swift, but for those who endure to the end. On this platform, we share extraordinary stories from the lives of ordinary people. Today, we are joined by none other than Rev Dave Faulkner himself, and he will share with us just a little bit more about his journey. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
When I look at Jamaica Link Ministries, I really see it as the kind of a ministry that is relevant to the times. So I thought, who better to talk about the journey with than Reverend Faulkner? So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
How would you describe Jamaica Link in one word?
In one word, I'd describe Jamaica Link as a network.
A network.
And a network for God and a network for good.
A network for God and a network for good. How did you come up with this idea of a network-driven ministry?
I'm wired that way. You know, I'm a people person. I like to meet people, know what they're doing, and see how I can connect people. So it's about connecting people to God and connecting people to one another. So networking seems to be something that I just do naturally.
Because it's connection. We have to be with one another in order to have impact on one another.
Exactly.
But the thing is, Rev,
no contact, no impact.
No contact, no impact.
Yes.
The thing is, Rev, in church, right, we can be happy. You know, DJ Nicholas would say we are spiritually fat. You know, we could just get comfortable in our seats, and my mother would say, "Oh dear, what's the expression that mommy uses? Like a lump." We could just be in the space, not really active, not really moving, still having some kind of contact and impact. But why a mission-driven ministry? Why missional?
Missional because the Spirit of God is a spirit of missions. So God is about, the journey is about knowing God and making Him known. So our Lord Himself, He says, I came to seek and to save that which was lost. And then He said, as the Father has sent me, even so send I you.
So I was going to ask, how did you come up with the name Jamaica Link? But I don't need to do that anymore.
And it's an interesting story about coming up with the name Jamaica Link. Because Jamaica Link came out of my own personal journey and experience as a pastor. I started out in a country church up in Macfield area, a Macfield Baptist Church. And I had a big vision, little provision, and a whole heap of frustration. So I shared my vision with a church that came to visit here in Jamaica. And after sharing my vision, the church caught the vision and gave the provision that was needed. And I thought to myself, you know, I know many of my other pastors who are on the same journey. Big vision, little provision, whole heap of frustration. And I thought, what if we could multiply that? If you could get the vision, the provision for your vision.
In one place.
So we connect that. And now looking at how God has called people together So we were not meant to do it alone. And I believe strongly that all the resources that we need
It's in the village.
It's right in the village. So let's connect. And so that's what Jamaica Link is all about.
So as it relates to raising funds for the different missional initiatives, it's less about raising cash funds in some instances and more about just actually having the resources be realized from the village that has been created, the network of people engaged. I don't want to say towards one goal, but with a common interest.
Common interest. And so I tend to have a lot of international connections. And so from there, I have, here's something that is very important to this conversation. Our ministries were started by missionaries from the US. When the missionaries come, they come with a network because the missionaries could not be here without raising their support. So they raised their support and they came underground. Now, while they're underground, if they encounter any challenges, they just call their network and the network would spring into action. And so from that, I thought to myself,
this is amazing. Why don't we do this?
Why don't we do this? Because part of the challenge too is that when the missionary left, the resources left and the network left. So I wanted to build a network that would stay with Jamaica because I now got no year.
So, but how do you actively build the network? Like what is an action that you take that helps to build this network?
Well, we start with the people that we know. And when you start with the people you know, then you share. You have to have a vision.
Yes.
The vision is critical, and vision is a picture, a desirable picture of the future that when you share it, it produces passion
and that
in other people.
So this is quite literally write the vision and make it plain so that they may run, as you are saying, that hear it.
Exactly. It is critical. Vision in whatever you do is critical. So
we don't want to call it marketing, but in a sense, what do you do to make sure what is the pattern, right? The pattern of steps that you take repeatedly over and over to make sure that the robust community that you're building is maintained, because we don't want to just have a network and then bye. I meet you today, this was great. When I need you, I call you. So how do you maintain that network?
Do the work. Whatever you promise that you're going to do, get it done. You have to produce. Production, that's where, you are going
to multiply your production.
To just keep going.
Absolutely.
And then you communicate. You have to keep in touch with the people. So while sometimes as per the church, we don't necessarily want to be telling people everything that you're doing, but it is interesting that I have come to the realization that God is a networking God. And he is also a marketing God.
Yeah, and he's a network within himself, which is why he presented as different persons.
Exactly. Because here he says, let your light so shine
before men,
that they may see your good works and give me the credit. So we must produce.
Yes.
If anybody ought to produce, it ought to be the people on mission with God.
And that's a very positive note on which we can go into our positivity segment. So we're going to take a quick break from this conversation just to see what some of the young people are thinking, what they are looking at, and how they're kind of embracing positivity in their own space. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. And now that we have taken that very quick break, we are right back. Thank you.
Great.
I really hope you enjoyed that quick Vox Pop segment from the young people. It's always good to know what people are doing to keep their mind conscious and positive. So, Reverend
Yeah.
Faulkner,
Yeah.
based on the kind of ministry that you have described, I know that your day is not ordinary. Your day is not 8 a.m., 4:30. No. What does the
Right.
typical day of that kind of mission-driven space look like?
Well, the typical day, I get into my office and I have three things that I actually want to do for the day. If I can accomplish three main things for the day, then I'm good. So, I had that written down before, and so I'm going in my office. I want to get this done. Whether it is connecting with somebody, because with the whole matter of networking and so on, I might want to reach out to somebody. So it all depends on
Yeah.
what the project is, and so I try to get that personal thing done in the mornings because I'm a morning person, so this is the best time of my day to accomplish the priority things. And then I'm going to check my emails. Then I'm going to be, I'm answering the calls because they keep coming in and so on. So, but I have three things that I want to get done. I don't have to do 10, 50 things. I just need to get three of the most important things done for the day, and then I can deal with the other stuff.
James Clear talks about that in the book Atomic Habits. It's not about having all the things that you can possibly do in a day. It's taking out literally three, he said. Change your to-do list from a 6 or 10 step list and make it into a 3-point
Yes,
to-do
so I want
list.
to do the best things.
Yes, and actually the way the human brain is wired, after 3 tasks, we kind of need a break. We kind
Yes.
of need to replete and do more creative activities. But with that kind of a lifestyle and the way how the activities may stretch you from time to time, even though we are balancing our task list,
Yes.
does that have any kind of an impact on your family life, and how?
Whoa, family life. I particularly have to be very, very guarded, and my wife helps me with that. And because I think I eat, drink, think, sleep, what I do, and because I'm an entrepreneurial person, so the mission is driven. I started the church that I started. I started this mission, Jamaica Link. So all of that, the vision is driven by me. So sometimes it's easier if you are just working for somebody, because then after your hours, then you quit. I don't quit.
It keeps going.
So I have to be intentional about being present when I'm home, and to shut that off. And it has taken a good while, and so a lot of different conversations with my wife
Over time.
over time. Oh well, I tell you what, my I got a jolt. My assistant, we were talking in the office, and I'm a dreamer, so I'm always coming up with a new vision, a new thing that we want, because we want to produce, we want to get things done. So I said to my assistant, hey, what do you think about this? And she said, it's great in a pastor, but it's another thing on my plate. And Pastor, this is your life. I have a life outside of here. And at that moment, it just hit me that I'm driving, I'm not even understanding what is happening on the other side. And that also helps to communicate to me that how I'm dealing with family. There is that place that I have to shut that off and be present. So that, I think that's one of my biggest challenge, not to
overwhelm
talking.
everyone else.
Yes.
With what you are experiencing.
Exactly.
Because it's good. It's good you want to share, but actually,
yes,
I need a break. Yeah.
Well, I was doing a study, a master's in organizational leadership, and I was asked to write down all the things that I do. And for the first time, when I started writing down, I realized I didn't have any margins. I'd go from one thing to the next, just straight. And I was feeling somewhat fatigued, but I don't recognize it because I'm telling people all the time, I mean, I don't work a day in my life. I
you
love what
enjoy
I
it.
do so much that I don't work a day in my life. But at that point, it was very instructive for me that I need some margins. And now that I start, I don't feel guilty anymore when I take a break, because I realize that I am feeling much better and I am more present for people, so I can do more and enjoy it more.
Yes, it's actually your body. Your body felt the impact of it. So even though your mind stayed active and your
Yes.
mind had the desire to go on, we're in a tent. We're in a tent.
I like the way you say that.
So in this space where you're generating new ideas and there is always something else to do, and there really is, because we must scale. We
Yes.
must not just produce but scale up production. Is there any part of that that's clouded by fear? Does it ever step in?
Fear, yes. Well, I tend to, I want to do things well. I want to, I want to succeed at what I do. Whatever I do will prosper. So I want to not be static. I want to continue to grow and to produce. So the fear of
Not producing.
producing is, I keep going. But one verse in the Bible that helps me with that, be anxious for nothing. I think it's Philippians 4:6. Be anxious for nothing and everything by prayer and supplication. So that is something that I have to keep. So it's easy for me to get anxious. And I would say, I've heard some people talk about depression. I would say that I'm next door to that. While I just keep going. So
High
I have to
functioning.
always remember where my source is. And one person reminded me that I'm not Jesus.
Sorry. We don't have to go into the story about how they ended up having to tell you that you did not, in fact, die for the sins of mankind.
Exactly.
But you mentioned having the desire to always succeed, to never not be producing. But how would you define success? Because we don't want to limit success to maybe one task or one project. Because then if the project fails, then everything would then have been a failure.
Yes.
It's like a magnifying then of one thing over what may have been an otherwise excellent track record.
Yes.
So how do you define success?
Somebody said, I think I like this. I don't remember who gave the quote, but excellence is doing the best you can with what you have. So when you are doing the best you can with what you have, you're a successful person. And especially, let me just give you more that I'm going to talk to you from my own aspects as a minister. When you do what God has placed in your heart to do, like the Apostle Paul, I have fought a good fight, I have finished my course, I have kept the faith. So when you are passionate about doing what God asks you to do, and so that is the key to success, is accomplishing your God-given purpose.
That's interesting, because my immediate next question is there a pattern to being a successful minister? If I've just left Bethel Bible College and I'm in my first church and I want to know, tell me, this is me now. I am step
Lord.
1. Okay, check. Now step 2. How do I become a successful minister?
All right, you got to know your God. So your time with God, your personal time with knowing God, is the most critical thing. So you are starting your day with God, and you are asking God for the vision as to what is his vision. What is the thing that God has called you to solve? You see, because vision, it solves a problem or it capitalizes on an opportunity. So it's for any leader, you have to know what your red hot why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you here?
And that's the formula.
So it goes right back to that. And you must get your marching orders from God. Hey, may I just say to you that it's not so much about what we're doing, but about more about who we are becoming. Because notice, we're not human doings, we're human beings. And many of us, we get caught up in the doing that we're terrible on the being. And God is more interested in our being rather than about our performance, as it were. So, very, very critical. I mean, I cannot stress how important it is for you to have that relationship with God where everything that you do is coming out of your being with God.
It's a centering of self
Yes.
on Him and not on anything else.
Yeah.
So I know the favorite part of your ministry is probably when you get to connect with people. But what has been the most satisfying moment? Just pick one. Just pick one most satisfying moment in your ministry so far over the decades.
It's wow. That's such a difficult thing for me to, just pick one. Um, because here's my problem, is that my ministry is so wrapped up between reaching out, reaching people, helping in practical things, and also seeing people come to know Christ. One of my greatest things is when I baptized my father. So
What
that's
did
the
that feel
crowning
like?
of
Yeah.
my ministry here, wherein I see my dad come to know the Lord and follow him in the waters of baptism. And he is like one of my greatest helpers in what I did. I remember that when I went to Bible college, he told me that, you know what, I don't like that. No money is on it. And he didn't support it very much. But I've seen that about turn wherein he was able to embrace that, and even at this point has become one of my greatest helpers in our ministry.
How old was he?
At the time, I don't want to tell his age, but it's probably yeah, probably 60 something. It's probably about 70. We started at, it's about that.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look his age. So I'm like, wow, I can't believe my dad turned
He's
80.
getting
Yeah. But he's right there
vibrant.
with me. Yes.
If there was anything that you could change throughout your entire ministerial career, if you had a do-over of a thing, is there anything you would do over or do differently, I should say?
Anything that I would do differently. Um, oh, well, part of right now, I think I'm right now at this point that I am actually doing a paradigm shift. And my paradigm shift is that I've always wanted to help to make people's lives better. My paradigm shift is I want to help people make a significant difference with their lives.
Okay.
If I help make people's lives better, then I'm helping them to survive. If I help them to make a significant difference with their lives, they'll get survival. And then they'll live out the mission of God that in my own personal mission.
You can't do that. It will only happen if they somehow develop that mission within their lives.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the mission is to seek first the kingdom and righteousness, and the other things will be added unto you. And the way I interpret that verse is economic development follows spiritual renewal. Spiritual renewal, seek first the kingdom and righteousness. Economic development,
all these
things. And so this is how I approach my ministry. But I did ministry differently from how I approach my own personal life because of my passion to help people, to meet the physical needs. But I recognize, having, going throughout 20 years of Jamaica Link, we're on a paradigm shifting wherein we recognize that the best thing is to connect people to Christ as a disciple of Jesus Christ. Every person needs to develop that discipline of walking with God.
Amen.
So that's where, our paradigm shift is.
You spoke a little bit about being a human being more than a human doing. What 3 skills do you think a minister may need as he pursues a successful ministry, not an ordinary ministry, but a successful ministry where he is meeting the objectives that he believes were given to him or by God, the marching orders, as you say? What 3 skills do you think he needs?
He needs, number 1, to know the Lord. You have to have that personal calling from the Lord, so you know exactly, who you are, and now you understand how it is that you are engaging the Word of God and your own personal relationship. Then you have to understand what it is to get a vision from God and how to share that vision.
Communication.
So communication is critical. And then right close to communication is conflict management. Some people call it about conflict resolution. No. It's conflict management.
Explain.
It is going to always happen.
There is no resolution.
Yes, conflict is going to happen. So you have to just learn how to manage those. So managing people, having a vision and being able to communicate it effectively is very critical skills for a minister.
If a minister only has 2 hours in the day to invest in one activity that will help him or her to be more productive, what activity would you recommend?
He has to pray.
Prayer.
He has to learn how to pray. I used to think that I knew how to pray, and just recently God has just talked to me about that again. And it is the one thing that you and I need to know and understand, because that is how we connect with the divine power source.
What has been consistent in this conversation is prayer, the connection with God. Well, prayer is a tool that we just discussed, but having that connection with God, that is what has been consistent throughout this conversation on the actual journey through ministry as a minister that wants to make a difference and not just be mechanic or monotonous in the execution. But this is a perfect time to go into the lighter part of the conversation. Reverend Faulkner, I know that you are a creative guy. Yes, and you have your visions and you go through and you do these wonderful things for the Lord. Yeah. But I don't know if you held a crayon in the last 10 years or so. So during this aspect of our conversation, I thought that, you know what? Let's have our guests just pick up a crayon and any color you want, 1, 2, 10, and begin to just color that image. So when I thought of Jamaica Hearts Ministries, that's kind of the image that, not Jamaica Hearts, Jamaica Link. That's sure kind of the image.
This is.
That's purple, but we have more. That's the image that came to mind. I say, you know what? You know, giving heart, helping hands, those wonderful things.
Loving heart. So what is it? So
Go ahead and color the image.
color the image.
Color, yes. So you may want to put the hands in a different color from the heart.
Also, I'm going to
And this is
use
your
different.
box. If you would like, if you want to use more than one colors or just one color,
Oh,
that's
but
fine.
because I'm not sure, you said I should pick one.
Oh,
crayon.
my bad. You can have more than one. The entire
Oh.
box is at your disposal.
Oh, so like purple heart.
Oh,
Is, is it,
that's
let me
more
see.
orange. You want a red
It's
one?
a red. I want a red one.
This is
red
a red.
heart.
Oh, this is a more red.
This is purple heart. Right. Okay.
So, Rev, I
Yeah.
don't want Jesus to be the answer to this question, but the question is,
You know, all my answers is Jesus. I mean, look.
who has been your greatest inspiration?
My greatest inspiration. Somebody that has a real great inspiration on me is Dr. Tony Evans.
What is it about his ministry that's been so impactful?
His ministry, because of how the urban alternative, and so he has a good grasp of helping his people, connect with God, but also provide resources, to solve some of the social issues. So, he is one of the first persons that I've been, kind of introduced to that, know how to do that well.
One of the things I really like about his ministry is the studied approach that he takes to the text. I am as a spiritual person, as spiritual as the next, but he approaches the text almost in a scientific way, if you understand.
So I tend to be very much visionary, but not so much what you call not so much where's the black? So I'm not so much fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
So
not
his
so
ministry,
much of a is it pragmatist?
Organizational, so I need
attention
help
to detail
with those
right
details.
Right, yes.
So he helps to flesh out some of that I could get some more to strengthen my organizational aspect of things. So I used to go to Dallas. Where's the brown? So I used to go to Dallas every year to his Kingdom Agenda.
Yes.
And so some of so then I started to kind of connect with some of the persons that I see doing ministry. So in a way that would be impactful. So I'm passionate about the church having a greater impact on the society, and I'm passionate about the church, really balancing the good news with good works. So that's where
that connection
person,
expanded into all of that.
Yes, and so I can tell you there are different persons along my journey that kind of differently. One of the ministries that has really impacted me is the Willow Creek Association with the Global Leadership Impact, the Global Leadership Summit, and that. So those have helped to satisfy different parts of the gaps,
yes,
that I find myself with. So I'm always looking for the people
or the spaces
who are ahead of me. So my philosophy is walking through life with one hand up, one hand down. One hand up, reaching up to the people who are ahead of me, and one door down, pulling up everybody else. So, that's how So that's
Yes.
one of the persons. So there are others who have
If you had
impacted
a magic wand and you could change three things in Jamaica or the world,
in the world.
in the world,
In Jamaica, anywhere.
what
And
three?
and you tell me that I shouldn't tell you about Jesus, right? I wouldn't
Ladies
say
and gentlemen, I'm still saved. I would like to point out that I am still a Christian.
Jesus. So, I think about this, and it is not going to be the answer that is typical. If I could change the world, I mean, I wouldn't even do three things. I would just do two things. I'll make everybody love God, and then I'll make everybody love one another. For me, it encapsulates everything in my whole life. Because when you're loving God, then you are pleasing to your Creator. So you are one there. So that completes one part of you. And then when you are loving people, and love makes you very creative. So we have enough money in the world
To solve all the
to
ills
solve
of the world.
all the issues of the world.
Absolutely.
And then we use all of that money to study to destroy
Yes.
other people and our world. Really, if we learn to love God
and each other.
and people, then we have solved all the problems of the world.
So tomorrow is the launch of your book. It's actually going to be a biography about your life, and you have written this book, hypothetically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of this book?
What's the name of my book?
What would you name it?
A Man on Divine Energy.
A Man on Divine Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for episode 3 in season 3 of Hopecast. Rev Dave Faulkner, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it very, very much.
Don't forget, friends, to like, share this conversation. Drop a comment. Let us know what part of this was most impactful for you. And subscribe to the YouTube channel so whenever we have more episodes for you, you will get a notification and you will be apprised of what continues to happen for the Hopecast podcast. Thanks for joining. See you soon. Are done and done. How was steak, Kevin?